The U.S. Central Intelligence Agency estimates that Islamic State has some 20 to 31,000 fighters who've taken over portions of northern Iraq and Syria. This weekend, they killed another Western hostage. Islamic State fighters released video of the murder of British aid worker David Haines, who was kidnapped last year in Syria. U.S. President Barack Obama has ordered a sustained military campaign to eliminate and destroy the terrorist group. In addition to airstrikes, the United States says the Iraqi army must be rebuilt. Syrian opposition soldiers will require training and Kurdish fighters will need more weapons. It's an operation the White House says could take years to accomplish and will require an international coalition of Western and Arab allies. We'll speak with a former Iraqi ambassador to the United States in just a moment, but first we turn to CCTV's Annabelle Vandenberg, who joined us from Erbil. And Annabelle, the United States threatening more airstrikes, sending in more personnel. What are you hearing in reaction from Iraqis there?
Well, actually, the Iraqis have been asking for U.S. support since the beginning of this crisis in June of this year. What I've heard since the beginning is that the Iraqis feel that their own army, the Iraqi army, isn't strong enough, and that doesn't come as a surprise because it was very easy for the Islamic State to take in Mosul, the second largest city of the country, in June of this year. So the people were afraid that they would go further up until Baghdad, so they wanted the U.S. to intervene as soon as possible. So basically, they are happy. But what we also see, on the other hand, is that they also blame the United States for what is going on. They say that it is the United States who intervened in Iraq and who afterwards withdraw from Iraq, that they actually made a basis for sectarian violence here in the country. So they made the problem and they have to solve the problem, is what they say here.
Right, so if we look at the politics in the country right now, there's a new government in place led by Haider al-Abadi. What are his priorities?
Yeah, well, first of all, it was one of the major demands of the people to change the government, so that is already a step in the good direction. But the challenges that he faces now, Abadi, are a lot of challenges basically, but there are two major challenges. First of all, he has to unite the Iraqi people, because we can see that sectarian violence is becoming worse and worse, and it became worse under the former government as well. So his first aim is now to unite the people of Iraq. And secondly, what he has to do is to make sure that he strengthens the security forces, because as I said before, it was very easy for the Islamic State to take in the second largest city of the country, so that is not a good sign. He has to make sure that he has a strong army and a strong security system.
Islamic State has not reached Baghdad yet, but they have taken responsibility for several car bombings. I mean, what is life like in the capital?
Yeah, well, actually, you can see a bit of a change right now. In the beginning, in June, when the threat started of the Islamic State, people were very frightened. People would buy all kinds of food and would pile up stocks in their houses because they thought the day would come that the Islamic State, then called ISIS, would reach Baghdad. But now, a couple of months later, and already actually a couple of weeks after the Islamic State took Mosul, you could see that people were calm again in Baghdad because they realized that Baghdad is a different thing than Mosul. It's more difficult to take in the capital, of course. So you can see that life returned back to normal. But unfortunately, normal life in Baghdad includes occasional car bombings. People talk about sleeping cells. They think or they believe that a couple of small groups related to the Islamic State live in Baghdad and occasionally plant a bomb or commit a suicide bomb. So they are afraid, but it's the same fear that they have as before the threat of the Islamic State.
Thanks, Annabelle. CCTV's Annabelle Vandenberg there reporting from Iraq.